And it was from the beginning on. That was from the beginning on. It was just beside stone is stone. Huh? And yes, but let's say to come to the sculpture, that was a little story. One day we was in the north in Gobernador Valadares, and then we go to Teofilotoni, and there was a whole world, and we go to the mines. And one time I was in the garden of one of our friends, and I see a crystal like this big, and was very dirty, and I told him, what is with this crystal? He say, come on, we take him and make him clean. And I'm looking, it was a nature color citrine. And I had the idea, a very good color, which is not normally, and I had the idea, he must be clean a little bit. I think not all, but I think it was. So I get a good price because it was in the garden and here nobody can do anything with it. And then he told me, this crystal name is Patriot. I said, that's a wonderful name. Okay. So I take him. $2,500 for 64 kilo. So, and that's only because my friend, he is the salesman, he keep down the prices because the people see in my eyes if I like a stone, and then he get expensive, you know. That's normally. So I will only say that we had the possibility to find stones which nobody, on the beginning, which nobody need. Of course, you get it not for nothing, but we get it for a good price, which helps me a lot to build up my, and then if I open this crystal, which I told you, Patriot, he was clean. And so, and then I sit down and look. I think some weeks I look only to the crystal. And then I think I cannot make this crystal in small stones for jewelry. That's not possible. I need to make something big. Okay, the idea was born, and I need to have some new wheels, so I invest some money and starting and buy a machine from the glass industry, big machine, where I could make big stones. I go with the wheel to the stone because it was so big that I could not hold it freehand. However, the sculpture was starting, and at this time also Jürgen Henn meet Michael Scott, and he was the first man which understand that this big fantastic crystal you need not to cut in little pieces for the industry to make something. Sculpture was a new thing. Nobody made sculptures in the whole history. So, okay, but the most important was that Michael Scott buy also one. Not one, he buy more. And that helps to get enthusiastic also. Because first is an experiment, maybe this or that, and you know, I know how to work with crystals in this time. It was easier than on the beginning. Huh? So I was inside in a crystal if I see one. Huh? Also, it going on. Understand later on, everybody, that the small stones are also sculpture. And the style of the sculptures was also in reflecting perspective or inside selecting or whatever. I was always working with philosophies. I was not working just in the blue. So we had always ideas what is going on. Let's say natural movement. I make a series of sculptures where a little bit of the nature was inside, included in my cutting. Huh? I say that was from the samba dancing. I see the samba dancing, this is a nature movement of you know, and that gave me the idea, natural movement, that was a sculpture. So a lot comes from the people which I know, other comes only from the crystal. But the system of crystal, of strong lines in all this direction was always in me. That is today also secret. I always, let me say, I go a street, yeah? Straight on. Then I come to cross. And I can go to left or to right or straight on. Maybe I go to right because that's something new. You always see, if you are a man with creativity, you always see something. You cannot sleep the first night and think and think and think, and then you come to the way to do something. It is not so crazy. There are so many people which has a lot of creativity. The only new thing is with stones. The painter make with color whatever they want. I make the symbols. It was also the form of. I see the holy stones from India. Günter Krause, a good friend of me, had a collection of these stones, and I was crazy. I think that's the idea. And then I make the crystals like these symbols, but like these holy stones, but I make it with my feeling, with my interpretation. It was different. And then I make also a structure inside and this. But the first was interesting to find the right material. It must be rock crystal in my eyes, because it was the tradition of the holy stones. But there could be inclusions inside, but only clouds, not crack. And that was something. And then I find the Fanzone quartz. Then I had this big rutilated quartz, which then Michael Scott in the 90s, beginning of the 90s, 840 kilos rutilated quartz, unbelievable. And the people like to make a ball with this for Japanese client. Say no. So I was at the end of my trip and I had all my money was going, and I called my wife and say, Anna, we go to the bank, ask to get some money, and Hannah say, you think that? No. I say, and then on the end of the day, she told me, I was on the bank, and please, if you think you need it, then take it. Can you believe it? And then 1 year later, 2 years later, I was finished with the first big sculpture. Michael Scott come here, and he said, that is mine. In the meantime, the director of the bank come many times here and ask, how are you? Is it good with you when at your business? Because, So it was always a risk, but it was always a fantastic thing. And this crystal was, 10 years later, if I think about it, it was the best business I ever had. And I have, even of this, I have one of the big sculptures from this crystal in my house, in my private house. Let's say if I start with one idea, with one philosophy, I told it always that's philosophies. I have it my whole life, but not only. I still go always in the future with new ideas. What is the philosophy? Yeah, let's say we speak about music. I'm a little bit a musician, and we make rhythm was one of the philosophies. rhythm, you know. Music is easy. Inside was the rhythm. And that's an idea. Then what I, inside selecting, also form inside, which had a system like the crystal also, but always with the angles of reflection, the light. To look to the light was one of my life all the same, because I think this is the fascination. Yeah. And it doesn't stop. I need to get much older that everything which is now in my head comes out. Yeah. But on one side, for me, it's fantastic. But for business, is it always better if you have a good idea on the beginning, then you can make it more popular if you stay to this idea all the time. It was not interesting for me, but I feel now, after so many years, and 1997, I gave the atelier to Tom, because I was 53 years old. I see his talent, and I think, what can I do for him? I give him the atelier. He get it. I was out. And I make my own business for myself, and I go with him to the United States and tell everybody, here is the new cutter, Tom. And it was very complicated in Japan, because I had always from the beginning on, my best clients was Japanese. It was later on 50-50, America, Japan. In Germany I don't sell a lot, even today. And I say to the Japanese, here, my son, he makes such fantastic things, and he do it. And it works. And the first years I didn't touch any stone for jewelry. And Tom, in the meantime, he has a life work which is the same than in my time, but different, much different. And this is the good thing, which I like so much. And now Philip's starting, and I worked with him also as he was a small boy, I opened him the eyes to see the stones. Yeah? That's the most important first. And then I told him the same. Then my teacher told me, go in the inside. Look, so long the stone tell you what you have to do. And now he's starting with ideas which is crazy.